Welcome to the Growing Your Business podcast, a program created to answer the question, what's in it for me, for both the business and their customers. Today's guest had this to say.
Where we add the most value is, how is your day-to-day running financially, right? Are you growing? And if you're not growing, why aren't you? What changes can you make to help grow, to help improve your cash flow? With us in Acre Consulting Services, we can, provide that strategic insight.
Now, stay tuned as we hear more on their values, mission, and why they continue to grow their business. So joining me today on the Growing Your Business podcast is Brian Gray with Acre Consulting. Brian, thank you for joining me in the studio.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, great to have you here.
Yeah.
So tell me, what do you do at Acre Consulting?
Yeah, so what we do, we're a fractional CFO company. And that is a you hear that word thrown around a lot of what is fractional. It's really a part-time CFO. And so that's what we do for small to mid-sized businesses. And so we come in and we help them, grow their business from a financial perspective, get a handle on things. Our motto is, if you don't measure it, you can't manage it. And so that's where we come in and add value to those businesses.
Who are your typical customers?
Our typical customers are small to mid-sized businesses. We found a sweet spot about 2 to 5 million in annual revenue, and they need somebody to come give them some financial guidance, but they don't need somebody full-time. They don't need to pay a big, high salary for a full-time CFO. And so that's where we add the best value is we come in on a fractional part-time basis, and we're adaptable. So they may be heavy up front where they need a lot of work cleaning the books up, and then we can do that and then get more strategic of putting budgets together and meeting the goals that they want for their business.
What would you say is the number one thing you solve from the beginning? Like as soon as you step in the door, what are you looking for?
I think the biggest thing that I solve is awareness. Okay. A lot of small businesses, they are, I'll use a distribution company. They're good at what they do. They're good at distributing their product. And they're not financial people. And so I bring that value. That's where I come in and give them awareness to, hey, do you know your expenses? Do you know your expense load? Do you know how much cash that you're going to need for the next 3 or 4 months? And when they don't know that, they hand their books off to a CPA and they get the numbers back and they don't understand them. We help make sense of that.
That's terrific. Tell me about your history and what made you start Acre?
Yeah, good question. I've been in industry for a long time. I've been doing this over 20 years, but 15 years specifically. I worked for a company, and that's what I did. I helped small businesses that were part of the network that we were in. I helped them from a financial perspective grow their business. What got me into it was just adding that value. I got to see that aha moment with the client, and they were, I didn't know that, if I pull this lever, it means more revenue, or if I hold off hiring somebody right now, I can really, get my expense load where it goes. So it's that aha moment that got me excited about, let me help other businesses do this, because they're small businesses, most of them family owned, and they're good at what they do. Let me be good at what I do to help them grow their business.
Describe your typical engagement.
Okay. Yeah. So I do offer, several layers, I call them, or levels of engagement. Typically, we do anything, like I mentioned before, from, they may have a bookkeeper that just records things and, keeps their checkbook. We will come in and put things in an order that helps manage their business better. So that's one thing that we do a lot of cleanup of. And then I have a kind of a middle of the road engagement level, and that's where we get into, putting a budget together, helping them manage to that budget. But I start with questions to the business owner of, what do you want to do with you? What are your goals? do I want to grow my business by 10%? Okay, well, how are you going to do that? And now the answer I get is, well, I don't know. And so that's where we look at, well, what are the main drivers? We call them KPIs, or key performance indicators. What are the levers that you have to pull? Is it, more customers? Is it changing your pricing to get more revenue out of that customer? Is it lowering expenses? And so we develop those 4 to 5 metrics that we measure to, and we measure to those every month. And we have a sit-down meeting, and we look at the financial results, but then we also look at how are they doing towards those KPIs. Are they above? Are they hitting them, or they need to make some tweaks? And a lot of times we do that with colors. We're visual people. And so red and green, obviously green is good. You're hitting your marks. Red is bad. And we always say, hey, red's not bad, right? It just gives you an opportunity to improve.
Yeah.
So
you mentioned the engagement. Like, how long do people typically sign up with you? I mean, it's up to them.
Yeah, it is. It is up to them.
Yeah.
We like to be their long-term strategic advisor.
Yeah.
Now that relationship may look different as time goes on. It may be, every month we're meeting and we're looking at financials while they're getting through kind of the bumps in the road that they may be facing as a business, to where we get them flowing well, and we're just a advisor. Maybe we meet quarterly, or that's the smallest length of time I like to do is quarterly, but we want to be their long-term financial advisor, all the way up to, how do they plan to exit the business? Because there's a lot of financial decisions that need to be made and structures that need to be put in place in order to do that.
And the things, obviously, you don't know what you don't know.
Right.
But one of the things you do know is you stay on top of, there are regulations that are changing,
right,
both the state and federal level.
Yep.
And you offer, obviously, advisement there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Obviously, in today's economy, with the new president in place, a lot of things are changing. Tariffs are crazy, and so that may impact a company. And so we help stay on top of that. We stay in the news, and we know, and so we help advise them of steps to take to get through that patch. Yep.
And I imagine you have tools at your disposal to stay on top of those things.
Absolutely, yeah. We have most of the time we use QuickBooks. That's a good size, but we're adaptable to any ERP system that the business may use. But that's kind of our go-to, and it gives us a tool to measure by. And then we also I mentioned KPIs and key performance indicators. I build out a dashboard using tools that helps them, because you can get lost in reading a financial statement, just a bunch of numbers. And here's the numbers you need to know, put in a graphical format that tells you, hey, am I doing well? Or do I need to make some adjustments?
Stay with us. The Growing Your Business podcast will return right after this. Ready to amplify your brand's voice? At Blue Mike Studios, we transform your ideas into captivating podcasts and videos. Whether you're launching your own show or guest starring on ours, we've got you covered. From recording and editing to social media promotion. With state-of-the-art 4K video and crystal clear audio, your content will shine. We offer guest packages on our podcasts and offer segments from the show for you to share. Or let us help you build your own branded podcast with custom strategy, branding, and full production support. Visit BlueMikeStudios.com today and let your voice be heard. Please check our show notes for sponsorship links and additional details. Now, back to the Growing Your Business podcast with Buddy Broyles. Tell me a success story. I know you have a big client list, but I'm sure there's one that stands out.
Absolutely, yeah. Just recently, I'm working with a client, and they're a heavy inventory. They have a lot of inventory, and it's actually batteries, so car batteries. Well, he just purchased a new location, and he had millions of dollars of money sitting on his shelves in batteries. Well, when we got down to it, we said, when you count your inventory, you're missing a bunch of batteries. And so we found out that his team wasn't counting. They weren't. They were just kind of going what was in the system, and they didn't go physically count it. And so by putting those practices in place, we helped him save a lot of expense by not having to, buy batteries that he didn't have, and potentially look into, was it theft? Were people stealing batteries from him? And so that's a big success story. Has really helped him get a handle on his inventory and those internal controls.
Right. And not knowing the data, not knowing your inventory, not knowing your numbers can also lead to serious, for lack of a better term, crime.
Oh,
right.
Absolutely.
And you help people avoid that with some of the tools you employ.
Absolutely. Yeah. Inventory is a big one. Just internal controls of your processes of paying your bills, making sure that when you have a vendor that you're fully vetting that vendor, that they're a legitimate company and not a made up company that you're paying that you don't know. And so, yes, our tools and of our trade helps people find those things and stop it if it is happening, and if it's not happening, it prevents it from happening.
Well, it sounds like you provide peace of mind from getting ahead of challenges and problems in forecasting,
Yep.
But also that second part is, I wouldn't say you can never prevent the legal issues entirely,
Right.
But you can definitely be ahead of it by vetting and looking at the numbers and projecting.
Yeah. We live in a fallen world that that the bad guys try to do things and not work hard for it, and so our tools will help protect the company, give the business owner that peace of mind that, one, hey, I'm measuring my business, so I'm on top of it, and two, that I know they're keeping those things in order and keeping them safe.
Does AI impact your business?
Oh, absolutely. We're just now starting to, use that technology to help in accounting and in the financial world. It's a lot of processes, A to B type things, and so AI can really help automate those things, help the business owner get from working in the business, as we call it, and working on the business, and allow them to go do what they do, sell more products, when they know that AI can help automate the process of that back office accounting.
That's terrific. So we've talked about, you mentioned a large inventory company. What are the needs of the smaller businesses you serve?
Yeah, so cash is king,
Yeah.
as we know that, and having a good, strong cash forecast is so important for a small business. A lot of them struggle with cash flow, and so you want to make sure you have a handle on that, to make sure you can pay your people, pay your vendors, and keep your business running. So I think that's really one of the main important things, is understand your cash conversion cycle. How long does it take you to sell a product to get paid for it, or sell a service and get paid for it? How long does it take you to buy your inventory or what you use in your business, and for you to pay for it, and having that all working together really helps keep the cash flow smooth and avoid things waking up at night of, I can't make payroll or something. Yeah. So that's a big need for small business. Would
you say for small business also it's a misconception that, well, I have a CPA or I have a bookkeeper, I'm probably good?
Great question. So, and CPAs are great. I am a CPA. I don't work in the tax field, and there's a reason for that, because they are good at what they do. And so it's great to have, if you have a bookkeeper that you can trust, but they just keep the score. They just get things in the system and they code it to where it needs to go, and they keep the score. A tax person is also needed because they're going to help you from a tax perspective, how to lower your taxable liability. Depending on how your business is structured legally, there's things that can be done that can, and they're the experts at that. Where we add the most value is, how is your day-to-day running financially? right? Are you growing? And if you're not growing, why aren't you? What changes can you make to help grow, to help improve your cash flow? So we're more than just a bookkeeper. They play a very important role. So does your CPA. But with us and Acre Consulting Services, we can, provide that strategic insight that they typically don't offer.
Right. They're specialists in their field, but you need someone that has the foresight, the history, and it's really about the projection. Looking,
absolutely.
Getting ahead of the problems, as opposed to just solving the problems right
absolutely.
now or historical.
Right. And that's a big thing is forecasting out. It's okay to say it's great to have goals and big goals that you want to meet that may not be attainable. It's great to have those, but you need to put the numbers to them, right? And you need to then measure to that. That's what's so important, because you can have the goal, but if you're not tracking how you're doing towards it, you're just wasting your time.
Fair.
So,
how do you like to be contacted?
Yeah, great question. So the best play is my website. I've got a great intake form there that has all that information, and that is grayacre-consulting.com. And so go there, go to the ask questions page, and it will ask you those questions about your business and give you a place you can put in your contact information.
Right. And without, keeping people up at night worrying, what would you say to people who are on the fences like, do I need a CFO? And they're like, I think I can afford it. What would you say to them?
I'd say, well, one, the beauty of the fractional model is it's a fraction of the price, right? So if you need a CFO or you're on the fence and you think, well, they're 6-figure type salaries, I definitely can't afford that. Well, we come in at, a lot less.
A fraction
of that. And you get the same services. And so so if you're on the fence and thinking about it, the ROI on it really pays for itself, especially if it saves you money. Like my client in his inventory, it more than paid for, the fees that I charge him. So.
Sure. Well, Brian, it's been great having you here.
Absolutely.
Just sharing your knowledge and ability and the important work that you do.
Well, thanks for having us.
Thank you for joining us today on the Growing Your Business podcast. Please see the show notes for links to our sponsors, our social media, and to learn more about today's guest.